You came back. I am impressed, either by your fortitude or your loyalty, and I'm not sure which, and I don't care, because you came back. This is Improv Bible Study here on the Junk Shop Library channel, where we read every excruciating verse of the King James Bible. Even when we've already read the bloody verse 3 or 4 times within the course of the last few chapters. Why do we do this, you may ask? So that we're justified when we make mock of it. God is not mocked, you say? You stick around, I'll show you otherwise. Numbers 30 today. See what foolishness we get to here now that we finally closed out the Levitical calendar for the zillionth time. And Moses spake unto the heads of the tribes concerning the children of Israel, saying, This is the thing which the Lord hath commanded. If a man vow a vow unto the Lord, or swear an oath to bind his soul with a bond, he shall not break his word. He shall do according to all that proceedeth out of his mouth. If a woman also vow a vow unto the Lord, and bind herself by a bond, being in her father's house in her youth, and her father hear her vow, and her bond wherewith she hath bound her soul, and her father shall hold his peace at her, then all her vows shall stand, and every bond wherewith she hath bound her soul shall stand. But if her father disallow her in the day that he heareth, not any of her vows, or of her bonds wherewith she hath bound her soul shall stand, and the Lord shall forgive her, because her father disallowed her. And if she had at all an husband, when she vowed, or uttered aught out of her lips, wherewith she bound her soul, and her husband heard it, and held his peace at her in the day where he heard it, then her vows shall stand, and her bonds wherewith she bound her soul shall stand. But if her husband disallowed her on the day when he heard it, then he shall make her vow which she vowed, and that which she uttered with her lips, wherewith she bound her soul, of none effect, and the Lord shall forgive her. But every vow of a widow, and of her that is divorced, wherewith they have bound their souls, shall stand against her. And if she vowed in her husband's house, or bound her soul by a bond with an oath, and her husband heard it, and held his peace at her, and disallowed her not, then all her vows shall stand, and every bond wherewith she bound her soul shall stand. But if her husband hath utterly made them void on the day he heard them, then whatsoever proceeded out of her lips concerning her vows, or concerning the bond of her soul, shall not stand. Her husband hath made them void, and the Lord shall forgive her. Every vow and every binding oath to afflict the soul, her husband may establish it, or her husband may make it void. But if her husband altogether hold his peace at her from day to day, then he establisheth all her vows, or all her bonds which are upon her. He confirmeth them, because he held his peace at her in the day that he heard them. But if he shall anyways make them void after that he hath heard them, then he shall bear her iniquity. These are the statutes which the Lord commanded Moses between a man and his wife, between the father and his daughter, being yet in her youth, in her father's house. Numbers 30. All right. So if you're anything like me, you did dare have the fleeting thought that maybe God was coming around towards this whole woman concept that he's decided to stick with after he invented it. What gave me that hope was the decision a couple of chapters back that women could inherit. Assuming, there's no male of the same generation around. Silly, silly me. So a man can vow any vow, and ain't nobody can say boo to him, as long as he keeps his vow. And a woman can vow any vow, and nobody can say boo to her, except the same day that she makes it. And then her pappy, if she's still living at home, or her husband, if she's been married off, because those are your only two options, can decide whether or not she's allowed to vow that vow. Yeah, that's what we just read. Women can't even promise something to God without getting a man's permission. We've hit some misogynistic bullcrap in this stupid-ass book. I'm hard-pressed to come up with one that's more misogynistic than this, except for the statute that a woman is to be held unclean for twice as long after she gives birth to a baby girl compared to a baby boy. That I think is just a level of misogyny that it would just, I'm not sure it'd be possible to top that. Not even for God. And he seems absolutely hell-bent on making sure women know that they're second-class citizens, if that. And that is all there is to Numbers 30. Ooh. Anybody know off the cuff what happens in Numbers 31? It's the slaughter of the Midianites. All my buttons gonna be pushed. All of them. So that's what we'll get into next time we convocate here. More mass murder. With some peculiarly horrible twists. Like and subscribe. We here in the library do not support, condone, endorse, or encourage mass murder, misogyny, pretty much anything else in this stupid fucking book. Bye now.